All right, good morning. So, how you guys doing? Oh, it says congrats. This is my 50th broadcast. So that's funny. So, hope you guys are doing well. I guess this thing's working. So, today we are going to continue to be in Psalm 22, looking at verses 19 through 16. Today is February the 8th. It's Wednesday. And so we'll just jump in. So it says, "But you, Lord, do not be far from me. You are my strength. Come quickly to help me. Deliver me from the sword, my precious life from the power of dogs. Rescue me from the mouth of the lion. Save me from the horns of the wild oxen. I will declare your name to my people. In the assembly I will praise you. You who fear the Lord, praise him. All you descendants of Jacob, honor him. Revere him, all you descendants of Israel. For he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. From you comes the theme of my praise in the great assembly. Before those who fear you, I will fulfill my vows. The poor will eat and be satisfied. Those who seek the Lord will praise him, and may your hearts live forever." So, if you remember from yesterday, we were exploring simply the idea that David in the last few verses had been given perhaps a prophetic insight on the experience that Jesus had on the cross. And remember that this psalm is a psalm that is quoted by Jesus as he's being crucified. And so the psalm begins with, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And then David reveals to us the experience that Jesus is having on the cross. But what happens here this morning is there is a significant shift that takes place. David transitions through the psalm. And the transition sort of begins in verse 21. It says, "Rescue me from the mouth of the lions and save me from the horns of the wild oxen." And I don't know why this is, but the NIV doesn't translate it the way that other versions do. For example, the New King James translates it like this. It says, "Save me from the lion's mouth and from the horns of the wild oxen. You have answered me." And so David in this verse makes the transition that even though the experience thus far has been God's forsakenness, that God has heard the cry of this person and has answered. And so David, from there, once he sees that this answer has taken place, he transitions the psalm not from a crying out of suffering, but from a place of sharing the salvation that God has offered, that God does hear the cry, that God does answer, and that God does rescue. And so from there, he transitions to a place where he's going to share this with the people in his life. He's going to share what God has done. And just two thoughts from this passage this morning. First one simply is this, that God hears us. He hears our cry, and he answers. Oftentimes in life we can feel like that we have been God forsaken. But the reality is that God does hear us, and God does answer, and ultimately the way he answered us, all of humanity, was through his son Jesus on the cross. That Jesus is the ultimate answer to the problems that we all face, the suffering that we all go through. But secondly, is that once we've experienced this salvation, once we've experienced the healing, the grace, the mercy of God, it's not simply something that we keep to ourselves, but it's something that we need to share with other people. And do we share the salvation of the Lord with the people in our lives? Do we share the way that He has saved us? Do we share the way that He has met our needs? Do we share the way that He has comforted us as we walk through the hard things of life? And so that's what you see David doing here. He is declaring that he's going to share what God has done, that God hears us, that God moves towards us, that He brings His salvation to us, and that it's something that we experience, but it's something that we need to extend to other people. So kind of short this morning, but those were simply my thoughts from this passage. In what ways do you need to be reminded that God hears you when you cry? What ways do you need to be reminded that He doesn't turn His back to us, but towards us with His Son? Or perhaps in what ways do you need to extend the salvation that you've experienced to other people? And so, what does that look like for you today? What is the invitation? What is the challenge? And today is Wednesday, and so hashtag for the day is Welcoming Wednesday. There are many people in this world who feel like strangers, who feel isolated, and what does it look like for us to simply be welcoming to them, towards them, throughout our day? Perhaps someone in your office, perhaps someone at work, perhaps someone at school. What does it look like just to be welcoming, to be hospitable towards them, and to share the grace of God with them, just simply through your presence and actions? And so, hopefully that makes sense. Hope you guys have a great day. Blessings to you. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.